Hello, I'd like to begin by welcoming everyone. My name is Lauren, and like many of you, I'm an occupational health and safety specialist. As safety professionals, we play a very important role in representing the interests of the public, employers, employees, and even the states. Thank you for your work and service. Together, we have made great progress in protecting workers, but there's plenty of work left to do. Every year, employers record more than 3 million serious injuries on their OSHA log, and we all know that that is an underestimate. Several studies have shown that many and perhaps even most work-related injuries are not recorded by employers, so the actual number of workers injured each year is likely to be far higher. Another 4,500 workers are killed every year on the job. And today, I would like to talk to you about the devastating effects that injuries have on workers, changes to the structure of employment relationships, going beyond compliance with OSHA standards and incident investigations, and spreading the word of prevention. Why do we accept that there are millions of workers injured each and every year? This is a huge toll on the nation, and I believe that it's because it's workers, somehow people find it acceptable. When is the last time a corporate executive was fired after a worker was killed on the job? It just doesn't seem to happen anymore. A worker dies and the police investigate and say it was an accident. By that, they mean it wasn't intentional and it wasn't murder, but it also suggests that there was something random and unpreventable. These deaths and these injuries are predictable and preventable. Work injuries and illnesses can have devastating effects on more than just the employee. According to the National Safety Council, workplace injuries and fatalities cost our economy $198.2 billion each year. That's a huge toll. But these injuries and illnesses are not only detrimental to business, they can also force working families out of the middle class and into poverty, and crush a family's hope of entering the middle class. For many workers and their families, a workplace injury creates a trap which leaves them unable to save for the future or make investments and provide opportunities for advancement. Most of us think that when a worker gets hurt on the job, they're made whole again by workers' compensation. In reality, however, the costs of the workplace injury and illness are actually paid primarily by injured workers, their families, and taxpayer-supported systems. Take a look. In all, workers and compensation payments cover only about 21%, a small fraction of lost wages and medical costs of work injuries. Workers and their families now end up paying for nearly 63% of the costs out of pocket, and taxpayers shoulder the remaining 16. Important changes in the very structure of employment relationships are also fueling this problem. In many workplaces, work is increasingly becoming performed by contractors, subcontractors, employees of staffing agencies, or a combination of all of those. Unless properly managed, these changes greatly increase the risk of injuries and illnesses among all of the workers in the workplace and further contribute to the issue of income inequality. Too often, the employers do not provide these workers with the same protections or training as permanent employees, and all too often, employers of different workers at the same worksite fail to communicate about the presence of hazards, therefore endangering some of the workers at the site. New tools are needed to address these changes in employment relationships. That's why your work on the issue is so important. There is no doubt in my mind that all of these deaths and injuries and illnesses are preventable. And we know that addressing the serious problem of growing income equality in this country means doing more than just raising the minimum wage. As important as that is, we also have to make our workplaces safer. Compliance with OSHA standards are the minimum requirement, but oftentimes we must go beyond what is legally required in order to effectively protect our employees. We don't have specific standards for every workplace hazard. Working with killer whales can be very hazardous, but there's no killer whale OSHA standard. Moreover, many of the OSHA standards, especially the chemical exposure standards, are outdated and inadequately protective. When employers focus primarily on complying with regulations, they develop a static safety culture rather than one that's dynamic and consistently changing and improving. Makes you better able to respond to changing conditions and hazards. Before 2015, employers were only required to report OSHA work-related fatalities or incidents where 3 or more workers were hospitalized. But it was determined when they investigated these tragic events that these work sites often had previous serious injuries and amputations even that OSHA was unaware of. These serious injuries were red flags that were serious hazards in the workplace needed to be prevented. So on January 1st of this year, OSHA changed the requirements for all employers. We must now report, in addition to all workplace-related fatalities, every work-related hospitalization, amputation, and loss of an eye. In the first 6 months, they've already received more than 5,400 reports. They are triaging every call, initiating inspections in about 34%, but engaging with every employer. Too often, we're seeing employers blaming workers for being injured when that very employer has failed to provide the protective equipment or guards or failed to train the employee. Investigating worksite incidents, fatalities, injuries, illnesses, or close calls provide employers and workers the opportunity to identify hazards in their operations and shortcomings in their safety programs. Investigation enables employers and workers to identify and implement corrective actions which prevent future incidents. When a shortcoming is identified, it is important to ask why it existed and why it was not previously addressed. It is essential to discover and correct all the factors contributing to an incident, which nearly always involve equipment, procedure, training, and other safety and health program deficiencies. Once investigations are complete, OSHA forms and injury reports can be completed, which make employees feel safer. When employees feel protected, morale goes up, and both performance and profitability increase. Together, we can share the message of how investing in safety and health is good for workplaces, workers, and the economy as a whole. The new OSHA poster will reach workers and employers every day and it reinforces the message about prevention. Employees have the right to request an OSHA inspection of their workplaces, receive information and training on job hazards, report a work-related injury and illness, raise safety and health concerns with their employer, all without being retaliated against. It also informs employees of their legal obligation to provide safe workplaces, and that means eliminating the hazards that injure and sicken employees. The poster was updated to include the new reporting obligations for employers, and it emphasizes a very important principle when it comes to prevention, that every worker has a voice. Workers must be allowed to speak up about health and safety hazards and advocate for safety for themselves and their coworkers. Thank you again for all the service in occupational health and safety that you provide. Each and every one of your work is very important in helping us meet the challenges we face in protecting the safety and health of our workers all across the country. It's time to step up and take action. I hope you all bring this back to your employees and make them feel as if they can speak without being retaliated against. Have a great day.